Back in January 2021, I was able to build a PC after wanting to for a number of years. This was the beginning of the hardware shortage, so I was limited in parts. I ended up building a PC with a Ryzen 7 3600X, Radeon RX 580, and 32 gigs of RAM. This machine had some obvious faults, one of which being the GPU. But after a year of consistent usage, a CPU and GPU upgrade, and 2 case swaps, it was looking pretty worn out still, so I decided to build a new PC on Black Friday. This is my second PC build, and I had a few goals while building this. I wanted to build a Ryzen machine, as I switched to Intel for my first PC build back in 2021. I also wanted to build with a MicroATX form factor, and I didn't want to spend too much. I think the PC that I ended up building is a very good value, and it plays everything I've tried with great FPS. First, the CPU. I got the Ryzen 7 5700X, which was $200 on Black Friday, from Micro Center. It didn't include the cooler, so for $55, I got a Cooler Master 212 black cooler. This is a relatively basic cooler, but other than the horrible instructions, it works fine. For $50, I got two 8GB sticks of TEAMGROUP 3600MHz RAM for 16GB total. I went for a 500GB Crucial P3 NVMe SSD for $33, and I got a 650W G.Skill power supply for $70. My motherboard is a Gigabyte DS3H with Wi-Fi for $90, and I got $20 off with a Micro Center deal since I got it with a Ryzen 7. For my GPU, I got a Radeon RX 6600 for $200. I got a Lian 205H MicroATX case for $56, and it's a very nice case. The one issue I found was the lack of a fan controller, but I got a fan controller for $25, and it works just fine. Along with the fan controller, I picked up a cheap Noctua fan, and it's being used for an exhaust fan. One interesting note is that the screws included with the Noctua fan don't actually fit properly for whatever reason, so I just zip-tied the fan in and it works fine. The only challenging part about assembling it was fitting the CPU cooler on, as the instructions were very unclear about how the brackets were supposed to fit onto the heatsink. But after about 30 minutes of figuring it out, I managed to get the CPU cooler on, and it works. I'm still not too sure if I got it on the correct way, but it works and my PC is not overheating, so. This computer does everything that I need it to do perfectly. I still much prefer macOS, and my MacBook Pro will stay my main computer, but my Mac can't game, and once in a while I come across a program that is only available on Windows, and that's why I like to have a Windows computer around alongside a Mac. I installed the slightly older Windows 10 to prevent any issues that Windows 11 still has, due to my poor experience with Windows 11 on my previous build, since I had to lose all my data and downgrade back to Windows 10 back in January of 2022. Next, I'm going to show the performance for the games I've tested so far. While I don't have Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 runs great. The average frames per second is 75, and if I slightly overclock the GPU, I can get up to 90 pretty easily. This is more than playable since my monitor is 60Hz. I tested this game with mostly high settings, with some set to medium and maybe one or two set to low. I tried a pretty old game, the 2009 version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, not the new 2022 remake, and it got 75 average FPS on high settings. In BeamNG.Drive, I got an average FPS of 97 on ultra settings. I think that is pretty good performance for this game, but if I remember correctly, the game used to be more RAM intensive than anything. Playing Forza Horizon 4, since I haven't bought Horizon 5 yet, on all maxed out settings, I got an average FPS of 91. I think that's very good, and this game still looks amazing, especially on its max settings. As for another slightly older game, GTA 5, released back in 2015 on PC, I'm getting 122 average FPS on high/ultra settings. This game is not too hard to run, but I'm glad to see that I'm getting good performance on it regardless, especially for ultra or high settings. This computer was able to run all the games I tried at good settings with good performance, and it's amazing how good GPUs have become for $200. If this is 2021, this GPU wouldn't even be half as powerful for the price, as the prices for graphics cards back then was at or near an all-time high. Right now, prices are finally coming down, and I think that it's finally the perfect time to build a computer, after almost 2 years, or maybe more than 2 years, of a graphics card shortage and some other parts being in a pretty bad state. I also really like the smaller form factor that MicroATX gets you. This case looks great and I see no problems relating to cooling, and even though the GPU is a bit underpowered for the CPU, it still runs very well and all the parts that I got were new, so there's no need to deal with any used parts and I have a pretty good warranty on most of the parts. With all that said, thank you for watching, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be appreciated, and if you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe. So goodbye.